Jeff, I'm unhappy. I want to get a divorce. Although Jeff was somewhat shocked, he was not completely unprepared. They had been married for almost 20 years, but Darlene had been spending a lot of time lately talking to her friend and so-called marriage expert Miranda. Miranda's experience was based on the fact that she had been through 3 divorces. Jeff, can you hear me? I want to get a divorce. Yes, Dar, I heard. But this is such a serious matter that I don't want to answer hastily. I think I was as loving and devoted a husband as possible. I think I was a good father. You didn't mention any problems in our sex life, so I don't know anything about what happened. But after hearing from you, my answer is this. I can't stand the idea that marriage to me will deprive you of the chance to be happy. Although it breaks my heart, I will support you in your divorce. But tell me, is the reason for divorce something that happened recently, or has it been building up for some time? Darlene replied, yes, gradually. I need a little space, a little time to explore other opportunities, meet other people. It is my understanding that the court requires that we be legally separated within 90 days of signing the documents. Eventually, I may change my mind and want to stay married. We may not have to get a divorce. Jeff mused. That's close to what I've heard other people say about their divorces. During the 90-day period of separation, we both date other people, and it is not considered cheating. But in the end, we both have to agree to stop the divorce. However, either of us can proceed with the divorce without the consent of the other party. Jeff realized that Darlene did not fully understand that he would have the same freedom as she did. I thought that if I filed the documents first, it would depend on me whether to continue the marriage or go for divorce. Darlene hesitated. Jeff objected. I don't think that's right, but just in case, I'll also aptly so that we're on the same page. Isn't that fair? Ooh, I guess, Darlene stammered. Are you saying that you want to get a divorce? Obviously, I was under the wrong impression that I was a suitable husband, father, and lover. No, I don't want a divorce, but I won't stand in the way of your future. Honey, I never said that you were inadequate. You were a wonderful husband, father, and lover. I just want to experience something new and different, spend some time with other people. It might make me feel better. I just need some time. Being legally separated will give me this freedom. Darlene, the fact that you need more than I can give you defines my inadequacy. He was silent for a while, then continued. Have you already gotten a lawyer and completed the paperwork? She ignored his response regarding feelings of inadequacy. No, I don't have documents yet. I plan to use J.R. Lewis. He handled Miranda's divorces. So, Darlene confirmed the source of this idea of seeking something more for herself from her marriage. Well, I'll probably ask my cousin Sally to handle my part of the divorce. Sally? Bitch from hell? Dar, I know you don't like Sally, but she's a really good person. Her reputation as a bitch stems from her job. She truly fights for her clients, whether they are men or women. Ironically, after the last family barbecue, probably because she had had too much to drink, Sally volunteered that if I ever needed a divorce lawyer, she would handle it for free. Wow, Jeff continued. We have something to talk about. I propose that you spend the next 2 weeks preparing for your divorce. This way we can begin our separation on the 1st of the month. This is fine. Maybe. I don't understand why we have to do anything before the separation is over. Jeff explained. Well, I guess the purpose of the separation is to see what it's like to be divorced so we can decide if we really want a divorce. This means that the period of separation should be practice, so to speak, for what life will be like after the divorce, or we won't figure anything out until the divorcee. It can get quite messy. Does this make sense to you? Maybe. I really didn't think about it. Darlene's resolve was weakening. I'll tell you what. Why don't we go into the kitchen, grab a notepad, and start planning out everything we need to do? I'll put on the coffee. With these words, Jeff got out of bed and headed to the kitchen, leaving Darlene in thought. By the time Darlene got to the kitchen, the coffee was already boiling and Jeff was scribbling on a notepad. Okay, Jeff continued. There is so much to think about that it is difficult to decide where to start. I think we need to talk about children first. What are you talking about? Well, we'll have to tell them what's going on, and we'll both have to say the same thing and try to make sure they don't think our divorce is their fault. Darlene became very worried. Both girls were very emotional and might not take the bad news well. I don't understand why we need to tell them so much. Can't we just wait 90 days and maybe we won't have to tell them anything at all? But, dear, how will you explain to them when they ask, "Why doesn't Dad live here anymore?" But, "Why don't you live here?" We will still be their mother and father. I figured that you would continue to live here during the separation, and that we could go out occasionally without disrupting the children's lives. I don't think this will work, Dar. First, it would mean that we would have to coordinate our dates. One of us might get angry at the other if one of us wants to go on a date one night and the other says it's inconvenient. We might think that the other is trying to keep us from dating. Most importantly, how are you going to experience what it would be like after the divorce if you behave the same way as you do now? Additionally, children may guess or hear from others that we have been seen hanging out with other people. We must tell not only the girls but also all our relatives and friends. Otherwise, they might think that we are cheating on each other. The worst thing is that I'm afraid that no matter how we explain this to the children, they will probably think that it is their fault. It's unfortunate, but from what I understand from child psychology, it's impossible to stop children of divorce from feeling like it's partly their fault. We just have to make sure we say the same thing and really emphasize our love for them. They are good kids and they will probably adjust eventually, although it may require some professional therapy. Heck, they might even enjoy having extra grandparents from your new boyfriend and my new girlfriend. More gifts for birthdays and holidays. Of course, we will have to coordinate very closely where and when we hold birthdays, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. We can barely do that now with only one set of grandparents. Besides, if I stay in the house, you'll have to meet your man at his place or at a fancy motel. It would be wrong for you or me to bring a lover home while the other is at home with the children. Also, we have to figure out what having two families means for our finances. Obviously, this will mean that we will have less money to live on, because we will add the cost of renting my apartment and utilities to our current expenses. You will have to get used to paying and taking care of everything that we now share together and I myself do for the family. Joint assets are usually divided 50-50. This means we will have to cancel all joint checking accounts, savings accounts, credit cards, and then file child support and child support. Fine. There is so much to do until the first day. Darlene sat there in shock. She didn't know what to say. Jeff continued, "I'll try to rent an apartment closer to work. This way the girls will have a bed when they stay over on the nights I have visits. The standard for visitation in most divorces is that the spouse outside the home can see the children every weekend and every other major holiday, unless the spouse at home agrees to more. Jeff, I expected you to date girls a lot more often. There is homework, sports, drama, and other events that they are used to. Both you and them seem to be enjoying their time together so much. Darling, I will try to be as much a part of their lives as possible. However, you and your boyfriend should be willing to take some of what I do. It's just reality. Weeknights for visits will be difficult because they would rather be home since they have school the next day. If I find someone else, she might have kids too, and I might have to help them with homework and extracurricular activities. You may have to help your new husband with the children. Then there's the problem of storing clothes and toiletries in two places, school transportation, since I may not live on a bus route for their school, and just a disruption to routine. It won't be easy for any of us. This is not going as Miranda promised, Darlene thought. She said her husband would give in at the mention of divorce and offer to continue doing everything he did for the family, but also allow her to date others on the side. I'm quickly losing control of the situation. Jeff, I'm shocked. I need to get some sleep. We'll talk again tomorrow. I go back to bed. You are walking? She was hoping he would come and she would try to use sex to get him to give in without all this taking responsibility and sharing the money. Sorry, honey, but I need to write down something else before I go to bed. You know how my brain works. The more we do before the first day, the better we will feel. Good night, darling. Darlene hardly slept. She needed to talk to Miranda and tell her about Jeff's unexpected reaction. Miranda would know what to do next. This confidence allowed her to finally fall asleep. She woke up to start her day and immediately noticed that Jeff was not in bed with her. My God, this idiot stayed up all night working on the divorce list. But when she entered the kitchen, Jeff was not there. Just a notepad on the kitchen table. Darlene looked into the guest bedroom and found her husband fast asleep. She returned and started eating breakfast. While everything was getting ready, she looked at her notepad. Under the heading, Items to Change Liability were mortgage, homeowner's insurance, gas, water, electric, cable, cell phone, garbage, internet security, car payment, car insurance, health insurance, dental insurance, Amazon Prime, LifeLock membership, Life Flight Medevac, and the list went on. This was in addition to all the banking changes they were talking about last night. On the next page was a projection of his new expenses associated with his stay in the apartment, and a projected budget showing how much child support she would need to maintain her and the girls' current lifestyle. This meant they were short several $100s a month. He also compiled a list of ways to cut costs. Jeff will have to give up his favorite trips to Waffle House and Starbucks. He will be in a lot of pain, she grinned. Then added to that was her gym membership, the women's group she was in, and eating out more than once a week. He even listed some of the children's expenses, as some extracurricular activities included fees, uniforms, and other necessary materials to pay for. The impact on the children was not part of the calculation of her divorce scheme. On another page, he had a list of things Darlene had to do, which included filling up the car with gas, regular car maintenance, calling a mechanic, calling a plumber, calling a heating and air conditioning repair service, mowing the lawn, washing cars, shopping for groceries, and etc. She had to put down the notepad. Damn it! Why doesn't Jeff act like he should and give me what I want? I need to call Miranda before Jeff gets up. Hello? Miranda? This is Darlene. We have to speak quietly because Jeff is sleeping next to us. How did it go last night? Miranda's voice expressed excitement and expectation of a positive response from Darlene. Instead of asking what he could do to make things better so I wouldn't divorce him, he agreed to the divorce and then started making a list of all the things he was doing now that I would have to do if let's get divorced. Jeff plans to rent an apartment and take care of the girls only every weekend. He says that we need to actually separate and act as if we are actually divorced so that we can make a more informed decision about whether or not to divorce after 90 days. He doesn't act like divorce really scares him. What should I do? Gift, 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 stupid girl. He's just trying to deceive you. He's bluffing. There's no way he'll sign any real papers. It's a shame that he has to list all the little things he does to make you think you need him more than he needs you. Bottom line, you control the kids and the area between your legs. Only these two things will keep him in line. This is all talk on his part. Don't worry. Soon you and Robert will be doing Mamba in bed, and you will still have a husband and a home. I hope you're right and Robert is worth it. Well, Jeff hasn't actually done anything yet. I'll stay strong, at least until I see what he's really going to do. Thank you, Miranda. He gets up. I have to go. Hey, Jeff, do you want some coffee? Darlene asked nervously. Her husband staggered over to the coffee pot and said, Drinking coffee late last night wasn't a good idea. I hardly slept. Why didn't you come to bed? Well, I walked, but I didn't trust myself. What do you mean, honey? I saw you sleeping naked and I got very excited. You are still the most beautiful woman I know. I'm afraid I would suggest that if you allowed me to have sex, it would only be pity sex to ease my pain over the divorce proposal. I wasn't sure I wouldn't give up. Honey, we're still married. I am yours and only yours, at least until separation occurs. Can't we act like husband and wife until then? I'm afraid not. I am more confident than ever that separation activities must begin as soon as possible. Although the official breakup won't start until the first of the month, it actually started the second you said, "I'm unhappy." It will be hard for me, but I really want to see you happy, even if I no longer play an important role in your life. Jeff, you always seem to forget. It's really just a separation, and we don't need to get a divorce. Relax. Give me a little time to find myself, and I'm sure we'll stay married, and it will be even better than before. I wish I could believe it. I decided to take the day off. Billy can supervise the maintenance crews during the day, so I can set some issues of division into motion. This doesn't take effect until the first of the month, so we'll have 90 full days where we can actually experience what it would be like if we got divorced. By the way, I'll get us both more cash than usual. You need to use cash until we can get our own credit and debit cards. Luckily, we both have separate checking accounts in addition to the large joint account. I will transfer half the amount from the joint account to each of our separate accounts. We must do this now so that we can receive new cards and checks by the first of the month. Tonight, I'll tell you what I did and what you need to do to gain control of your portion of the assets. Oh, you better hurry up so you don't be late for work. I will prepare the children's breakfast and take them to school. Darlene was not very good at her job as an office manager for a regional insurance office. Robert, as usual, came in to flirt. Tall, with dark, wavy hair, and a smile that made women unbutton their blouses in the hope that he would stop and talk to them. After telling Darlene how beautiful she was and how underestimated she must be, he asked when they could go listen to beautiful music again. Darlene began to worry and told Robert that they would soon be able to be together in a more comfortable environment. However, today she will call him later near the elevator. When he left, her worries about being separated from Jeff were replaced by memories of kissing and caressing Robert during the all-too-short elevator rides they had taken in the last few months since he had come to work. When Darlene returned home from work, she saw evidence that Jeff had been there during the day. She felt better prepared emotionally to deal with all the financial nonsense he was talking about. It was simple. I have 90 days to fool around. We stay married, and then I try to figure out how Robert and I can have sex after that without getting caught. She sat down at the kitchen table and looked at her notebook again. Jeff added a few more items to the list. Then she noticed a new list. It was called Possible Women for Today. There were 2 columns, Women who have already expressed interest and Women would like to know if they are interested. The columns weren't long, but the names in the first column shocked her. One of them is her sister Erica. "This witch," Darlene called her immediately. "Hello, Dar," Erica answered. "How are you? How dare you try to steal my husband?" "Hey, slow down, girl. What are you talking about?" "Jeff made a list of women who told him they wanted to date him, and your name is on it. I don't know about the list, but I once told him, after I'd had too much to drink, that if he ever wises up and leaves your stupid, ungrateful ass, I want to replace you." "Wait, what's going on that he's showing you a list of women who want him? Are you saying there's trouble in paradise? Did you catch him, or did he catch you having sex with someone else?" "That's not the point. I just told him that I needed some space, some time for myself, to explore new relationships." "Here," Erica interrupted her. "Yeah, you're looking for it on the side. Who is he, or are there several of them?" "No, I haven't been close to anyone yet. Jeff and I will just go through the 90-day separation and then decide if we want to stay married or not. It's okay. Obviously, you have someone in mind, but I don't care. So you're telling me that someday soon you two will be legally separated, and if anyone wants to have sex with Jeff, there's nothing you can do about it. Let me know the date, and I guarantee that a second after midnight, I will be begging for a date and making it absolutely clear that my body is his to use the way he wants, and that I am not my sister, and I will be absolutely faithful to him until the end of her life. You better stay away from him, or what? You can't do anything if you have a legal separation. And the point is that you are the one asking for it. All these years you've been bragging about what a good provider he is, what a good husband and father he is. Most of all, you talked about what a wonderful lover he is. And you want to throw it away? How can you be such a fool? Have you suddenly become blonde? Like I said, let me know as soon as it's free. This is the only time in our lives when I will be glad to receive help from an older sister. Bye. After the call, Darlene tried to calm down. It didn't help that she looked at the lists of women again. She saw Jenny, his secretary, a short single mother, absolutely gorgeous, but almost 20 years younger than Jeff. However, there she was, first on the list, which meant that she had expressed interest in dating her husband. Probably desperate for a sugar daddy to take care of her and the baby. There were 2 women on the list, one of whom was married. That's probably what the M next to her name meant. The other 2 names were other women who worked where Jeff did. She recognized several more names of women on the list. They were also from our area. Jeff did a lot of free work for neighbors. Although he had a degree in psychology, he worked as a laborer in college. He liked this work, and he developed his business so much that now he had 3 teams working under him. I think he was looking at the women's plumbing and also the plumbing in their homes. The 3 women on the list had no names, only the label waitress at Waffle House, barista at Starbucks, and clerk at Walmart. I wonder how many other women find him as attractive as Erica. I really didn't think he would date while we were apart. Maybe he already has someone in mind. Jeff walked into the house and saw his wife looking through a notebook. He was pretty sure what the next topic of conversation would be. Well, Jeff, it looks like you didn't waste any time looking for a replacement for me. My dear sister, how could you? I was just trying to catch up with you in choosing a boyfriend. What do you mean? I have no boyfriend. I just want to explore some new relationships. What about Robert Turner? How do you know that Robert Turner? What are you going to do about it? Today I was at Walmart and ran into Sylvia, your boss's secretary, during lunch break. She's an old gossip, don't believe anything she says. After a significant pause, Darlene could not resist and asked, "What did she say?" Sylvia said, "As far as I understand, you are good friends with one of our new partners, Robert Turner." I must have looked puzzled because she explained, "Since he visits your wife's office several times a day, and they have lunch together every day, I asked Darlene what was going on. You know that our president has a strict policy of exclusion within office fraternization. Anyway, Darlene explained that Robert was an old college friend of yours and that you all often did things together. That's why I think Robert is at least one of the men you'd want to experiment with during your separation. How far have you gone in your research? Robert is just a friend. We did almost nothing except talk, and I think he might be someone I'd like to date. He is very nice to me and compliments my appearance even when I'm not at my best. Anything special? Did you two do anything that I wouldn't like to see?" As Darlene quickly recalled the scenes in the elevator, the expression on her face gave away the answer. Maybe more importantly, did you both do something that his wife would be against? Wife? He is not married. Who told you that he is married? What kind of woman do you think I am? Well, you're not very interested in the men you want to meet. Now I will open his Facebook page. That's where I got the information from. After a minute of computer searching, Jeff continued, "Is this Robert Turner?" "Well, yes. What does it say about his marital status?" "It says that he is married to Cynthia and has 2 sons. Trying to quickly come up with an explanation, Darlene volunteered. "This may be old information. Now he is already divorced. Look again. Website updated 3 days ago. Don't you think he could say something as important as whether he's married or not? And look what his wife wrote last time. The boys and I can't wait to join Robert when school is out. Johnny and Robert Jr., however, were important players on their high school baseball team and could make it to the state tournament. We will reunite with the family as soon as the school year ends, or maybe later if they do make it to the state tournament." I swear he didn't tell me he was married. I won't do anything to ruin anyone's marriage. You don't seem to mind ruining your own marriage. There was silence. Darlene knew she was hooked. She needed time to think. Robert was the main reason she wanted to break up, but she couldn't let Jeff find out. Well, he was just one of several men I would be interested in dating. I can make a list just like you. Oh my God. I just remembered something important. If we decide that we want to remain married after separation, we must give each other a copy of the medical report to ensure that we are both free of sexually transmitted diseases. Right now, you're just being disgusting. Just caution. I wasn't really planning on dating anyone since it might only be for 90 days, but if I feel the need for sex, I can just find a girl of easy virtue. I'm sure you would like to feel as safe as I do. Remember that it's not just about you. It's all about who you have sex with, who they had sex with before you, and so on. Jeff tried not to show how much he liked to tighten the nuts. While Darlene fumed, Jeff changed the subject. Okay, Dar, I promised to tell you what I did to help the separation process. Today I have a lot of things to do, most of which start on the 1st. Bank accounts and credit card accounts are the main things to deal with right now, so you have easy access to your money. Mortgage, utilities, etc. may be resolved within the next week or so. Oh, I do have some positive news on the financial end of things. Have I already told you that my secretary Jenny works as a night manager at the Royal Arms? These apartments are close to work, so I asked her about openings, and they have a 2-bedroom apartment available, but I need to move quickly. They are usually too expensive, but she said that if I became an apartment maintenance specialist, I could get a 50% discount on rent. This means more money for you and the children. You haven't signed the lease yet, have you? Remember, we have 90 days and you just might come back here if you play your cards right. She wanted to say something about his secretary being a gold digger, but decided that would only make things worse. No, I haven't signed the lease agreement yet, although I'm afraid I had to explain why I was looking for an apartment. She said they don't usually rent out month to month, but since it would be for 90 days, she thought she could get approval. When Jenny found out about the divorcee, she said she wanted me to ask her out. I was surprised by the age difference and all that. I had no idea that she found me attractive. I told her I was flattered, but the rules at work did not allow employees and their managers to have anything more than a professional relationship. Jenny said she could get a job as a secretary somewhere else, if that's what it was about. That's why I included it on the list. Steam was pouring out of Darlene's ears. She bit her tongue because her thoughts would make things worse if she turned them into spoken words. Without waiting for Darlene to answer, Jeff continued, "The other news is something you should really like. I booked 2 tickets for a 10-day vacation to Hawaii. I waited to tell you because it was supposed to be a surprise for our 20th anniversary. Darlene's behavior changed 180 degrees. Hawaii? Oh, Jeff, you know how much I always wanted to get there. This is simply fantastic. I can't wait to lay on the beach and swim in the ocean. Thank you. Thank you, thank you." However, Jeff's expression was not the same as his wife's. "We're not going to Hawaii. When you told me you wanted a divorce, I suggested that we might not live to see our 20th anniversary. When I tried to cancel the order and get a refund, they said that at this late date, I could only get a 20% refund. After thinking about it, I realized that going to Hawaii is more of a dream come true. I thought you might still want to go, so I asked them to change the tickets for you and another person to be named later. It can be a very rewarding start to your new relationship if you can offer your new man an all-expenses-paid trip to Hawaii." "But, Jeff, it was with you that I wanted to go to Hawaii. We could postpone the separation. In fact, I'm thinking about canceling the whole thing. Now that I've had a chance to think about my life, I'm not so unhappy. Sorry, Dar. I've thought about this a lot. I don't think I would be happy knowing that we would ever go back to possible divorce proceedings. Even if you call off the divorce now, you can't undo what you said you wanted, and you can't undo my imagination of what you and Robert did when you weren't doing anything special. I'll probably go ahead with the divorce no matter what you decide, although I can't imagine my life without you and being only a half-father to my girls." Jeff then went upstairs to the guest bedroom. Darlene was devastated. She knew only one place to turn. "Miranda," she called. "Hello, Darlene. How are you?" "Miranda, everything has gone to hell. Jeff has found an apartment, and his skinny secretary is already flirting with him, and my sister wants to go out with him too. The worst part is that he had tickets to Hawaii for our anniversary, and he gave them to me to use. But he won't go. He said I could use them to pick up my new boyfriend. What should I do now?" "Hey, what's the problem? You and Robert will have a great time in the sun, fun, and incredible sex." "No, I found out that Robert is married and that his wife and children will move here in a few months. I don't want to go to Hawaii with him. I want to go with Jeff." "Wait a minute, I just realized what was happening," Miranda objected. "Damn, Jeff is smarter than I thought. He lies that he booked the trip a long time ago. It was only to make you feel guilty and call off the divorce proceedings. Don't worry, with your hot little body, you can have boyfriends as good or better than Robert in no time and still have a husband and family." "Oh my God, I never thought he could be so evil. I'll make him pay for this. Thank you, Miranda. I was ready to give up. He will really regret it. Let's talk later." When Jeff came downstairs, he had a little luggage. "So you're trying to pretend that you're already moving out? Don't worry, good riddance. Actually, I was just going to take a few things into the apartment so as not to carry too much at once and scare the girls. Jenny said that I could move some things before the first one, since the apartment was empty anyway. Your mood seems to have changed since we spoke before. Let me guess, you were talking to your marriage expert, Miranda. You really should talk to a marriage expert if you want to stay married. Miranda is a divorce expert. That's all she managed to do. Don't try to get at me by insulting Miranda. She has my back. She was able to point out your Hawaii ticket scam. You made up this story just to make me give up everything. This won't work. I still want a divorce and can't wait to get a divorce. There are a lot of guys who want me and will give me what I need." "You're absolutely right, at least about the guys who want you. I don't doubt for a minute that you will have many offers as soon as they find out that you are free. I have always considered myself the luckiest person in the world to have such a beautiful woman like you, such a wonderful partner in raising children, and, until recently, such a faithful wife and lover. You're wrong about the trip to Hawaii, and I can prove it. All you have to do is call Lois Simpson at Flightright Travel Agency. She was the one who organized the trip. I'll call you." "Lois, it's Jeff Sinclair again. My wife is talking to me on speakerphone. Now you can tell her about the trip." She had several questions. "Of course, Jeff. I'm so sorry you can't go. It sounds like you really wanted to surprise your wife and enjoy your vacation. What questions did you have, Mrs. Sinclair?" "Tell me exactly what this so-called trip includes," Darlene growled. "This is our 10-day trip to 2 islands, our most popular. Hotel, food, transportation, hula classes, luau, tiki dancers, surfing, swimming, dancing, all in a romantic setting. I've been with my husband a couple of times, and it's really prepared our marriage. When did my husband first order this trip? Darlene was sure that this would expose the Rusi. Let's see, according to my records, he first called about 3 months ago, then chose this particular trip 2 months ago and paid for it 2 weeks later. Yesterday, he called to cancel the order and get the money. I was sorry that I could only give 20%. I was pleasantly surprised that he said, to go ahead and you will find someone else to ride with you. That tells me what kind of husband he is. You are just lucky. What other questions do you have? You need to tell me the other person's name as soon as possible. In fact, I can't book plane tickets until I know this person's name. No other questions. I'll call you soon and tell you the name." Darlene tried to imagine what Miranda would say based on this information. After a few seconds, she realized, "You think you've deceived me again, don't you? You agreed with Lewis that you would pretend that you were planning a trip to Hawaii before I started talking about divorce. Well, I'm smarter." She was proud of herself for figuring it out without Miranda's help. Jeff sighed loudly and suggested, "Talk to your parents." "What does my parents have to do with it? Who do you think will keep the girls while we're gone?" "Here, let's call them." Darlene was taken by surprise. "No, you don't have to do that. I need a little time to think." "Sorry, Dar, I'm already calling." "But Jeff, The call was answered by her mother, who saw the caller's number. "Darlene, how are the girls? Glad to hear from you." "Hi, Mom," Darlene said hesitantly. "Hi, Mom, this is Jeff. We're talking on speakerphone." "Wait a minute, I'll call your father, too." Darlene and Jeff heard in the background. "Harold, this is Jeff and Darlene. Answer the phone, honey." "Hey, guys, what's the matter?" said Harold, joining the conversation. After Darlene didn't say anything, Jeff spoke up. "Darlene knows now, so you don't have to keep it a secret. Son, we are very sorry that you cannot go. You didn't tell us why when you called this morning. I hope it's not a disease. When you called and said we wouldn't babysit the girls while you were in Hawaii since you weren't coming, it was disappointing because we were looking forward to having the girls with us for 10 days. And we were sad for Darlene that you couldn't go with her. We know how much she would like to go on this journey, but she would rather go there with you than with someone else. Have you decided who to take yet, Darlene? One of the girls? It will be hard for whoever stays." "No, Mom, I haven't decided yet. How long has it been since Jeff talked to you about going to Hawaii?" "I'm not sure. Harold, do you remember? It was on New Year's, wasn't it? I'm almost sure 2 or 3 months ago. He said he wanted to warn us in advance, so we can stock up on junk food. These two can truly eat anything and never seem to gain an ounce." "Jeff," Darlene's mother intervened. "Did something happen to Darlene? Why are you asking when Jeff spoke to us? Is there something wrong between you? Oh God, did you break up?" Darlene replied, "No, Mom, not really. We kind of decided that we needed some space, some time away from each other, to kind of recharge the marriage battery, and then maybe get back together." "Dar, I'm not going to lie to your parents. They have always been honest and frank with me. Mom, Harold, Darlene told me last Sunday night that she wanted a divorce. Sigs were hard at the other end of the line. Darlene had tried to save herself. That's not what I really wanted to say. The first part of the divorce procedure is a 90-day separation. I wanted this time to help me find myself, explore new opportunities, improve myself, so that I could become a better wife and mother." "And this is my daughter speaking?" Harold exclaimed. "I know liberal lies when I hear them. Darlene, do you have a boyfriend on the side?" "No, Dad. No, not at all." Jeff wanted to say something but changed his mind. Harold continued as his wife's sobs could be heard in the background. "I can't believe you could do something like that. We raised you better. I'm so disappointed. Don't expect us to be polite to your new man, Darlene. We're so sorry, Jeff. At least you promise that you will let us see our grandchildren after the divorce." Darlene, also sobbing, interrupted before Jeff could respond. "Jeff has blown this whole thing out of proportion. I take my words back. No divorce, no separation. I'll talk to you later when everything calms down." Jeff looked at Darlene, who was crying. "You need to pull yourself together. The girls will be home soon." Then he moved towards the door with a suitcase in tow. "Where are you going? Didn't you hear? I don't want a divorce. You don't have to go anywhere." "Darlene, you unilaterally stated that you want a divorce without talking to me first. Now you think you can unilaterally declare that we won't get divorced because things aren't going the way you planned. You don't seem to understand that I have a voice. After what I've learned about you over the past week, I'm not sure giving up on divorce is a good idea. I'll take a sleeping bag from the garage and stay in the apartment for the night." "Jeff, please don't go. I'm sorry. You said it was okay before I mentioned this bullshit about wanting a divorce. Can't you just forget about it and go back to the way things were? You said you were happy." "I was happy, very happy, but I can't forget how you said you were unhappy and how you planned an affair with Robert. As I said, you have already committed adultery. Sally told me that it would be easy for her to draft the divorce papers as these were standard terms of divorce. She could probably get them tomorrow." "I won't sign them," Darlene said sharply. "It does not matter. All she has to do is make sure you're officially served. I think she might do it at your job, so there will be a lot of witnesses. Maybe even Robert deserved a claim for alienated affection. Hey, I could even serve your boss for violating company policy, but that would result in both of you losing your jobs, but that's going too far. I need you to be able to take care of the girls after the divorce. I know, I'll just talk to Robert's wife. This should be enough to get back at him. Why are you so cruel? I love you and you love me. Is there anything I can do to make amends? You said divorce would be hard on both of us. Don't you want to avoid this pain? I promise to never bring up this divorce mess again. Please stay, and let's figure it out. Tears streamed down Darlene's face. Jeff stood still and silent. Darlene felt she had made an impression. I promise to be the best wife in the world. I won't look at another man. I gave you almost 20 years of a good marriage, 2 wonderful children, supported your business even when it meant you showed up late and dirty. I'm so proud of how you've succeeded. Everyone makes mistakes. Please give me one more chance. Please. Finally, Jeff answered, I'll tell you what. I'll go ahead and take my suitcase and sleeping bag to the apartment. I'll ask you to write down a few things. Your words and actions hurt me more than you know. If your answers are what I'm looking for, I'll consider calling off or at least postponing the divorce. I'll be back at 7:00. You might want to send the kids to their parents or friends so we can talk freely. Yes. Thank you. What should I write? First of all, I want an apology for the fact that you started this whole mess, and I want you to beg, not just beg, but beg me to forgive you. Secondly, I want you to tell Robert not to contact you again. Threats. What will you tell your wife if he persists? Tell him I can file a lawsuit against him and your company if he doesn't comply. Third, I want you to list all the reasons you can think of why I should consider staying married to you. Finally, I want you to call Miranda and tell her that you never want to talk to her again. This is not discussed. If I ever hear the words, Miranda says I have to again, I will leave immediately. Do you understand what I'm asking of you if you want us to have a chance to stay married? Yes, dear, I think so. I'll do everything and be ready by 7. Fine. See you at 7. Jeff took his suitcase and left. Darlene started at the end of the list. She rehearsed what to say to Miranda. Listening to you was the worst decision I ever made. Because of you, I almost lost everything that was dear to me. Never call me, text me, email me, or even think about me. If you see me in a store or restaurant, leave. Otherwise, I may not be held accountable for my actions. Darlene was surprised at how good she felt after telling Miranda off. Then she called Robert and told him what Jeff asked him to tell him. She hated hearing Robert beg her to see him one last time at the motel, calling her names and telling her she was probably a lousy lover anyway. She shut him up by telling him that her husband could call his wife if he caused any more trouble. The expected hardest thing on the list actually turned out to be the simplest, a list of reasons why Jeff should want to continue being married to her. Freed from wanting more than what she had with Jeff, she was able to think about all the joys in their life together. Darlene was able to come up with a whole list. This must impress Jeff, she thought. She had no problem asking him for forgiveness for the divorce scam. How stupid, selfish, and arrogant I was. Never again. By 7 now, Darlene was ready and feeling confident. She got a little worried when 7 came and Jeff wasn't there. 5 minutes later, he returned without luggage. Darlene noticed that his face had not changed since he left that afternoon. She tried to be as kind and modest as possible. Here are my answers. I hope you relent. Jeff looked at the list for a long time. While reading, he began to cry. Darlene started crying because he was crying, but thought his expression of emotion was a positive sign. This is very impressive, Dar. Her heart fluttered with hope, and she rose to hug him, but he motioned for her to return to her seat. What you have is good, but I still don't know if you understand how much you hurt me. I'm afraid I'll have to continue with the divorce. Darlene was completely devastated. Her heart felt like it had been thrown to the ground. She fell to the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. Her grief reached depths she had never experienced. In her sad state, she said, I ruined the life of my family. I'm the worst person on earth. I don't deserve to live. How could I be such a fool? Jeff knelt down in front of her and whispered, Now you see how I felt. While Darlene was sobbing on the floor, he walked to the door, stopped, and turned to her. Am I right that during separation we can meet with whomever we want? His wife found it difficult to pull herself together enough to say, But... She couldn't stop crying long enough to continue. Okay, if we can date whoever we want, what are you doing on Friday night? Would you like to have dinner and go to a movie? What? Are you asking me on a date? Yes, I think we've completely ruined our old relationship, but we might have a chance at a new one. Darlene stood up and rushed towards Jeff. Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes! Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.